CMH, your #1 historic sim racing league presents Honor Racing 22. Hello and welcome to South Africa, to the Kyalami circuit for round 2 of the CMH 2022 Masters Trophy. Here with you today is Javi Gonzalez in the commentary booth. Also as driver commentator with me is Pascal Mikola, and thank you sir, and special thanks also to Evgeny Sidorenko for being the cameraman today. First of all, welcome to all of you here who are currently watching the stream. Thank you so much for your presence, and we are just hoping for wonderful race, hopefully. 12 cars we have here today, and they're going to take 78 laps of the circuit in what we hope will be a very interesting and a very fascinating race with hopefully lots of things that happen, cars going fast, and lots of action as well. Nothing else to say for now. We're just waiting for the race to begin, and I wish all of you a very good time and a very pleasant day.
While we're waiting for the race to begin, let's have a quick look. Thank you, Javi, for the introduction on
My pleasure.
the track map. The Kyalami circuit is located in Johannesburg, South Africa. We were here yesterday already. You saw this graphic yesterday, but let me reiterate. It's a 2.55 mile circuit, 9 turns. You start at Crawthorne at the bottom of the hill, go up through the sweepers, through Sunset Bend, through the S's, back up, 9 turns in total. 78 laps, 320.112 kilometers, or just under 200 miles. This is basically an endurance race. So, yeah. Then we have the cars. 1978 Formula 1 cars. Between 500 and 600 kilograms in weight. You have manual stick shift gearboxes. That means you directly select your gear. No up and down. 5 or 6 speeds. Most of the cars have 5 gears. There are 3 cars in the race, supposedly to be entered in the race, that have 6 speeds. The Brabham, the Wolf, and the Ligier. Another story is the partial ground effect aerodynamics. Well, what cars have them? Really only 2. The Arrows and the Lotus. 3 cars in the race have Michelin radial tires. The Michelin attack on the Goodyear bias ply dominance has begun. The 3 cars shot with Michelin, the French tires, are the 2 Ferraris driven by Ricardo Mendes and Anderson Bernardino, and the number 15 turbocharged Renault driven by yours truly. Then we also have either 3-liter naturally aspirated or 1.5-liter turbocharged engines. There is 1 car with a turbocharged engine. You already heard it. It's the number 15 Renault. The others are either have a DFV Ford engine or Ferrari or Alfa or Matra V12. So this is going to be another great battle at 1,500 meters altitude. Now we are in the warm-up session.
Any particular consideration for you as far as, you know, fuel economy and tire management that you might be willing to share with the audience today?
Well, let me think. Well, you need to manage your fuel. You need to manage your tires. Pit stops. Wait, hold on.
Do they take too long to be?
Yeah. Sorry, I was typing. Yeah, pit stops take a lot of time to complete. So you know, you want to manage your tires. You don't want to go out on soft. If you want to go out on soft tires or the race, I mean, be my guest. I'll see you in the pit lane when I pass you. Really, fuel is an issue because, well, you can refuel, but again, that takes time. Basically, what you want to do is a non-stop race. You want to start on lap 1 and finish lap 78. It would be great if you could finish it first, of course, but knowing that there are some cars here that are simply just faster than the others. I'm not complaining, by the way. It's just the way that the hierarchy in F1 in the late 70s is. You know, whoever finishes lap 78 first is the winner. It's quite simple. And yeah, if you lead 77 laps, that's great. But if you lead lap 78, that's the one that counts.
Right, so as we're in a warm-up right now, out on track for the time being is Aaron Curtis. He's driving the FW06 Williams non-ground effect car. And let's just stick around for a bit as he gets himself warmed up and acclimatized for the race to come.
Well, maybe we can look at on an onboard lap with Aaron Curtis real quick to really see the. Now you can hear it. Okay, he's going down the hill. Speeds of around 300 kilometers an hour. Hard braking the Crawthorne bend. Oh, he's going wide. He's going wide. Oh, that's not good. Sorry about that, Aaron. Oh, and he's losing his gearing. That's bad. Yeah. All right.
A little bit too overeager, perhaps. So here we are with Lorenzo Terry on the arrows. Same thing now, braking hard, first corner.
He manages it.
Yep, he's got it together this time, so no issues there. So at this point we're going into turn 2, which is barbecue bend. Then the further left-hander up ahead is the Juxwell sweep, which there it is. Next corner, turn 4, is the sunset bend, which is over here. It's a long right-hander. Very difficult on the tires, no doubt. Then the clubhouse corner for the next left-hander here. One of the slowest, if not possibly the slowest on the course, I believe. Then the S's, left and right, turns 6 and 7. Very easy there on the curve. It's really high, very easy to unsettle the car. And then last proper corner rather, Leo Cup corner. There we go. Long right-hander, very tight, but not particularly difficult. And after this, flat out into the last corner, which is the King. Very fast right-hander. Try to avoid unsettling the car, going into the straight, and there we go. That's one lap, which takes just over a minute to fulfill, which means that the race should be at about 80 to 90 minutes at most to complete the 78 laps of that we have for today, essentially. That was Thierry. Then here we are with our importer in the Wolf.
I hate to correct you, that's actually a Lotus entered by Hector Rebaque. He was a late entry. He actually arrived at the track only a few hours ago. He's going to be starting from the back of the grid.
That is indeed the Casablanca Lotus is driven by Hector Rebaque in.
Exactly.
Yeah, not particularly. It was by this point the privateers were not particularly successful or very lucky with second-hand machinery. Much more difficult to set up for and work with than the old space frame tube chassis that you would have bought in the olden days. But still, all kudos to Mr. Rebaque for giving it a shot and for what was, for all intents and purposes, a very competitive car until not that long ago, for 1978. So,
to be completely honest, he is, well, Owen Potter today, he is actually very lucky that he's in a Rebaque entered Lotus, because as you know, in 1978, Lotus really dominated with the 79, with the Type 79. They don't have that one here at Kyalami. They were still racing the old Type 78. Careful there, Owen. At Kyalami. So technically, just technically speaking, it doesn't have to be a realistic prediction, but technically, Owen Potter in that privately entered Lotus from 1977 is in the same car, the same machinery as Matthew Sebagnoni and Luca Zadel, who are in the Works Lotus. Technically.
We shall see if the livery makes any difference on out on track for the sim. It needn't, but
less sponsor stickers, so it weighs less.
maybe maybe he'll manage to make the tires last longer that way. As for the rest, there's also Miguel Rocha over there, whom I believe is in the Tyrrell. Am I correct? In Tyrrell 008.
Yep, the
Very well.
successor to the six-wheel P34, which saw its last outing in 1977.
Also, currently, let's take a look at. Yeah, please do go on.
Oh, sorry. The late. Oh, there he goes. I hope the team. Oh, yeah, the team definitely needs to pull out the spare chassis for him now. The late 70s really saw some crazy designs. I mean, imagine it would be really insane to see the P34 and, for example, the Brabham fan car on the same track fighting each other, even though the P34 really wasn't that competitive at the end of 77. But yeah, the fact that we're here at Kyalami with these cars, it's almost normal to see these designs. They're almost conventional.
Yeah, it was, shall we say, a passing of the torch. All the designs getting phased out, having the Lasera, and the newer designs with new concepts, which would prove far more radical and far more successful further down the line, being essentially, going mano a mano for what is almost pretty much the last time. So a very interesting time period to be sure, and we're going to see it sort of recreated here today. So let's hope for a good race and a good show from the last generation of cars, as it were, in one of the last outings and last opportunities they might have had to be competitive. Currently, at this point, most of the people are on track.
We are
I
missing.
believe
So sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry, no worries. Out of the 14 cars on track, I believe we have. No, sorry, things are changing quite rapidly. We currently have 5. Just a few instance ago, we had 10 out on track, but presumably some people have made a few mistakes. So at this point, there's only 5 cars on track. Make that 4. It's currently Martin Bayer, Owen Porter, Petri Poskiparta, and Matthew Oboyski, who are right now on track.
And we're only missing 2 cars on the server, so those being Simon Witt and Joe Gillett. I would be very, very upset personally if Joe Gillett didn't arrive. Because if we have a quick look at the standings of the Masters Trophy, well, you can explain it. The quest for the cup in 2022.
Absolutely. So it's a dead heat. Nothing between them, between Mikkola and Gillett, sharing first place with 25 points at this point in the championship. Also tied for third is Bayer and Marazzi, both of them with 18 points. Also sharing fifth place is Ibayuni and Daga, both of them with 15. And also sharing seventh place is Saddle and Velocity with 12. The ninth, finally, someone who's solo in that position is Ster, who has 10 points, and 10th is Mendes also with 8 points. So a very interesting championship. Lots of shared positions. Lots of pretty much everything still to fight for. So very, very interesting positions right now on the table. And let's just see if we have everything to play for here. Then let's just hope there's nothing in it by the end of it, and a very, very thrilling fight all the way around, all the way through. As we're following Bayer right now, also once again into first corner, the Crowthorne Bend, round barbecue, taking absolutely every bit of track on the exit as you can. Down Jacksel sweep turn 3, also a little bit hungry over there on the exit on the runoff. Past turn 4, Sunset Bend, a little bit wide over there. Must have lost a few tenths there. A little bit too overzealous on the entry, and then Clubhouse corner. Very nice and tight this time around. Keeps it together very nicely. Into the S's. Turns 6 and 7. A little bit of curb over there. Car doesn't seem to have been unsettled too much by it, so all's well that ends well. Into Lookup corner, and let's take a look at the exit, see how it goes. A little bit slidey, but not particularly, not terribly. So all in good shape, all very well. And down the main straight, past the kink. and into the start-finish line for
And,
another lap.
And the reason, going back to what you said about the standings, the reason there are so many shared points is because the first race of the CMH Masters Trophy, the 1978 Nürburgring Trophy race, which you commented on 2 months ago, we have some highlights from that. I think we showed that yesterday, but hey, double trouble and whatever. Had 2 classes, so it was a multi-class race, and well, we had a winner in each class, second place in each class, third place in each class, and so on and so on, and that's why the points are shared. So currently, really, the thing about the point situation in the Masters Trophy really is just whoever finishes ahead, whether myself or Joe, is going to continue with the leads, because there's no shared classes today. Most of those shared points positions are going to be split up.
Absolutely. Sharing is caring, they say, but absolutely not in racing. So we're finally going to get some differences on the board today. So everything to play for here. We currently have 16 cars on the server now, by the looks of it. I already see in the list here both Zadel and Gillett in there, so I'm not entirely sure who at this point, if anyone, is missing at this point. I don't see Witt yet, so maybe he is one of those that are missing currently.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to be taking the start. People have been looking for him all over the paddock, and apparently he's not even at the track. So we have 2 minutes left in warm-up. Of course, the times shown in warm-up are, well, if you want them to be representative, you can. Meanwhile, Martin Bayer has actually admitted himself he's done a hell of a job qualifying this Shadow driven by Hans-Joachim Stuck back in 1978. That car in real life didn't even make the grid. So Bayer he was yesterday, I talked to him after qualifying, and he said he was ecstatic that he's on the grid in the first place, and he's actually not that far off. I think he's even in the top 10, but we'll have a look at the starting order as we go with the race in the formation lap.
At this point, first place in the warm-up, for whatever much that is worth, in first place is currently Lorenzo Turi with a 1:12.492. Everyone else is about a second off. Second place, that's Martin Bayer, whom we are seeing right now, who is 1.5 seconds off, almost. No, never mind. The lap is just posted as a 1:13.7, which puts him 1.2 seconds off from Turi's time. Third currently then is Aaron Curtis, who is 1.7 seconds off. 1.8 seconds off, that's Ricardo Mendes. Matthew Simeoni is 2 seconds dead, pretty much, on the Lotus. Then it's Owen Potter, who is also 2 seconds dead. The difference between them is just about 200ths. Then is Lucas Adel, also in the Lotus, 2.2. Matthew Boyski is 4.2 seconds off. And Miguel Rocha is 26 seconds off. Presumably he hasn't been able to post a competitive lap time yet. Yeah, he's done. Never mind. He's just done his 5th lap. He is now on 3rd. He's pretty much 1.3 seconds off, and just about under a 10th off from second place Martin Bayer. So that's a very good show from him. At this point, then, Poskiparta is now 10th, 3.4 seconds off. Oboyski, 9th. Oboyski is now 10th, 4.2. And the rest have yet to set a lap. Although I see Pascal Nicolai is out on track, so maybe we can follow him and see if he will also graze us with a lap of his own and a time to compare himself with the rest of the people in the field.
Well, unfortunately, warm-up is over now, so I just need to go back to the pits real quick and set the grid. So that was just a small installation lap. But yeah, what I can tell you from my own experience is this Renault is, well, it is top 10 material, but that's, that's the best I can say about it.
All the power, none of the grip. Well, it's not like the first time that's happened, so fair enough. Do you reckon you'll be able to make it last the whole thing? As Miguel Rocha is now posted the 3rd best time, he has improved to his 1.3 seconds off again. So it's slightly, it's a slightly better lap than it was before. But for the time being, Lorenzo Turi remains untouchable at the top of the standings in the warm-up. So no doubt someone to look out for come the race, which will be in a few moments. He starts on the last row, so he has all the work to do during the race, but presumably with this sort of pace, he feels confident that he'll be able to pull it off. He has 78 laps to do so, so it would be unwise to bet against him, unless something extraordinary happens, which, I mean, it's Kyalami, and these cars are not particularly easy to drive, so everything still remains on the table. Matthew Simeoni doing a few more laps. He has decided to enter the pit lane from the opposite end, which, I mean, unorthodox, but fair enough.
Now, since warm-up is over, the grid is set. We're about to go for the race session. Cars are going to be exiting the pits in just a few minutes, so we can just quickly go for a quick little commercial break, and we'll be back in just a few seconds.
One of the activities around the house we enjoy is washing the family car. Ain't she a beauty? And when we're finished, we enjoy making A&W root beer floats, flipping in the ice cream, then pouring in that rich, creamy A&W. Now you try it. Darn, only had 20 payments left. Make yourself an A&W root beer float.
Just between you and me. This is one of nature's best kept beauty secrets.
Satisfying. And it's healthy for you, too.
Foxy, the natural beauty food.
Not since the days when Grandma was a bathing beauty has there been such a table-clearing phenomenon. The Friday Night Fun Club on ABC has everybody hungry for Perfect Strangers, Full House, and Mr. Belvedere. It's
Yummy and tummy.
and all you have to do is watch. Plus, this week, the new treat, Philby.
All right.
No pushy salesman will call. No physical required. It's all free on ABC. Oh, look at that. One look and you're hooked. Join the Friday Night Fun Club this week.
Saint-Tropez, France, Gstaad, Switzerland, Bali, Indonesia. You can search the world over and find nothing as luxurious as a big, thick Klondike ice cream sandwich. A veritable feast of elegant vanilla ice cream surrounded by a lavish cookie made with fabulous chocolate. Of course it's rich. And because it's Klondike, it's famous. No one puts chocolate and ice cream together like Klondike. Take it from Robin Leach.
Hello and welcome back to the South African Grand Prix at the Kyalami circuit in South Africa. We are currently doing the formation lap. The drivers have exited the pit lane and are now warming up the tires and the brakes as best they can as they turn around once around the circuit for the formation lap.
Oh, it's actually the installation laps. The formation lap is still following.
Okay.
Again, sorry to cut in, but otherwise, yeah, it's 3 minutes until the pits are closed, and then we have 2 minutes for everyone to get on the grid, figure out their engines once again, and then be on the way.
Absolutely, we don't want to confuse our listeners after all. So this is the installation lap, I stand corrected, and the drivers here then just driving out of the pit lane and reaching their designated grid slots for the race to come. I suppose at that point we will discuss and illustrate our fellow listeners and viewers of what the actual positions they will start the race in will be. At this point, though, we're following Simone Girardini. He's currently rounding the final corner and into the main straight. Taking a little bit of gravel, no doubt to scuff the tires a little bit for the start. And as we wait for the others to also line up, both in front and behind him, probably he doesn't want to wait too long on the grid for the others to catch up. That would be not particularly helpful for the engine. It might start overheating and that sort of thing. So very sensible of him to wait to slowly reach his grid slot and wait for the others to catch up. At this point, there's only the last person who's going to catch up is going to be Matthew Oboyski, who's just going around turn 2 at this point. And there's a little bit of a traffic jam forming on the grid, but that's not particularly troublesome. Bayern and Gilardini have taken the spots. And Gillette's Wolf trying a little bit to squeeze past into his own slot without causing any damage to his and other people's cars. Bivona is also catching up now in his McLaren. And the last person, and he's also, at this point, no, never mind. There's also someone who's just left the pit lane. That's Miguel Rocha in the Tyrrell. He's currently going on the way to turn 1. As is also the second Tyrrell of Petri Poskiparta, who's also on his way towards the first corner. They will be the last people to arrive at the grid. And after that, I suppose we will start with the formation lap as is standard procedure. Very nice day here in South Africa today. Currently, well, I'm not, and I'm afraid I do not have it. Oh no, never mind, I do have it. It's currently, the weather is dry. It's 25 degrees Celsius. That's the temperature, 29.5. And we're currently 2 minutes before we finish the reconnaissance laps, as it were. And that's Miguel Rocha in his Tyrrell. Tyrrell number 4 is driven by, if memory serves, that's Patrick Depaille. So
and now the pits are closed. There's 2 minutes left until the formation lap. So that means everyone has now about a minute to get to the grid. Ooh, I think Rocha has just... I think I heard some tires lock. But as soon as everyone is on the grid, the engines will be fired up again, and then we're... yeah. And then we're ready to go.
Yeah, the last person to actually get towards the grid is going to be Matthew Sivagnoni, who's just entered Clubhouse Bend. So it's not going to be much longer now. While we see the other drivers trying to reach the slots, which are avoiding most of the cars to reach his slot. Looking out a little bit, but that's not particularly egregious, one hopes. Anyway, pretty much everyone else but Matthew Sivagnoni is in.
Okay, drivers have now started their engines again. We're just half a minute away from the start of the formation lap. And Sivagnoni is now coming to the grid.
Ready to take his spot, no doubt. I believe 13th is on the opposite end of that. Yeah. That maybe wasn't the best choice. I'm getting Giancarlo Fisichella flashbacks here in Malaysia.
Oh boy. Oh, it'll be solved in 10 seconds.
Yeah. Almost there now.
And the formation lap is underway.
Very well. Actually here, so here we go now. Once around the track for one last time before we start the race. And I think it's high time we discuss the starting grid as it's going to be for this race. So in pole position, it was Janosh in the Brabham with a time of 1:09.707. Sharing the first row with him is also Aaron Curtis in the Williams. Second row is shared by Mendes and Rocha. Mendes in the Ferrari, Rocha in the Tyrrell. Then rows 3 and 4 in the third row, starting from 5th place, that's Pascal Mikola in the Renault. Then Agatino Bivona in the McLaren, starting alongside him. Then the absent Shimon Witt in the Ligier and Joe Gillett in the Wolf. sharing row 4. Row 5 is made up of Petri Poskiparta in the Tyrrell and Baia in the shadow, starting alongside him. Also, row 6 is Simone Ghilardini and Lorenzo Turri with the arrows. Row 7 and 8, it's Matthew Sibagnoni in the Lotus. Starting alongside him is teammate Lucas Adel. Then Anderson Bernardino in the Ferrari. Row 8, sharing it also with Matthew Aboyski. Row 9 and last minute entrant is Owen Potter, who is starting with his Carta Blanca Lotus. It's going to be interesting seeing the difference, the potential differences between the Brown Lotus and the Works team, as it were, who's starting a couple of rows ahead of him. It's going to be one of the many very interesting tales that we're going to be seeing unfolding here today. Also, pay please particular attention to Lorenzo Turri, who's in the shadow and has the potential of throwing essentially a cat amongst the pigeons, what with being quite possibly the fastest driver we've seen in the warm-up, but starting way down the field in 12th place. We shall see how all these stories develop as the race starts. So here we have Paul Sita in the Brabham Magyar Janosh. And besides him, we should be seeing... okay, never mind. We're currently seeing Wojcicki taking his slot as Aaron Curtis has overshot his his grid slot slightly and is now just letting the car roll backwards a little bit to better line up towards it. Then behind him, Miguel Rocha, and behind him, Agatino Bivona in the Tyrrell and the McLaren, respectively. And we have a full grid now, so race about to start then. We have 4 lights now, and it's go, 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 go. And a good start over there by Curtis. Not so good start from Janosh, who's bogged down a little bit, but has been able to recover it just slightly. It was a dreadful start by the Ferrari over there, and we lost. I think we've had some contact over there. I lost a bit of debris. I wasn't sure if it was a billboard or maybe a front wing, but at this point, it's Janosh in first, Rocha is in second, and Bivona is in third. No, apologies. It's Janosh in first, Bivona in second, Curtis in third, Rocha in fourth. Poskiparta made a blinding start. It is now fifth. Joe Gillett is sixth. Turri has made up 5 positions already and is in seventh. Potter somehow is in 8th position after being pretty much last. He's in 8th position now and is hounding already Joe Gillett for P7. Lucas Adel is 9th. Sibagnoni is 10th. Ghilardini is 11th. Pascal Mikula hasn't had the best of starts and is currently now in 12th position. As Curtis, we see him here misjudging a little bit his breaking point and going off. And I also see a spinner there in the background. I believe it was one of the Lotus cars. It was indeed Matthew Sibagnoni who's fallen to last place. Before him is Anderson Bernardino, then it's also Ricardo Mendes in 14th. In 13th is Matthew Joyski, and Martin Bayer is in 12th. As we follow Agatino Bivona in second place, hounding the leader Magyar Janosh, fighting currently for the lead of the race. Miguel Rocha is in third. Turri is now in 4th position. This is an incredible recovery from him. He started in 12th position and is now challenging for the lead as Bivona makes a very, very brave move and has now outbraked Janosh. Oh no, but never mind. He's just been a little bit or two overzealous with the throttle and he's lost it completely and he's crashed out and lost his front wing. Bit unfortunate there. That was very brave from him, and it was just a shame that just as he managed to make the move stick for the lead, he has lost control of the car and essentially has crashed out at this point. Let's hope he doesn't have suspension damage and he can head into the pits and hopefully start a recovery from here. As we follow Owen Potter.
I can report. At the start, basically, Ricardo Mendes had a bad start and that basically held up the whole right side of the grid. He hit the wall under acceleration and lost his front wing. He's now retired. Bivona is also retired. And yeah, that's basically lap one claiming 2 cars, 1 McLaren and 1 very fast Ferrari.
Yeah, it was quite a bit of a shame that Mendes' race in effect lasted just about 50 meters, but it's what happens when you get overzealous on the start. As here we are, we're watching Lorenzo Turri trying to overtake Miguel Rocha. He's in the slipstream of, and he has done it. He was on the slipstream of the leader Janosh, as Miguel was trying to put a very feisty defense on the inside, but he was just, out-dragged and out-sprinted on the main straight, and so it was essentially a done move by the time the first corner had arrived. Positions then at this point are Janosh is first, Turi is second, Rocho is third, Poskiparta is fourth, Potter is fifth, Gillett is sixth, Saddle is seventh, Curtis is eighth, Martin Bayer is ninth, Pascal Mikola is 10th, Oboyski is 11th, Simeoni is in 12th, Anderson Bernardino is 13th, Gilardini is in 14th position. Retired at this point, Agatino Bivona, whom he just... Oh, never mind. I just see that also Simone Gilardini has retired. Not entirely sure what...
He was very slow at the end of the first lap. There was almost an accident in the S's, so he must have had some damage as well from the start.
It's entirely possible that was so. So at this point, we had 3 retirements on lap 2 out of 78. We're currently following the leader, who has done a magnificent job. It's just lap 2. He started 12th, and he's now fighting for the lead, and he has taken it pretty much, as he has just out-dragged on the main straight the one who was the leader, Magyar Janosh, and is now taking the lead. And he looks absolutely impervious here. No one close enough to be able to challenge him at this point. Let's see if maybe the Brabham can fight back a little bit, try to stay in touch. As we also see Owen Potter and Owen Potter and Joe Gillett having a little bit of a fight. They both get a little bit of a messy exit coming out of turn 2, but everything under control so far. Behind him, Lucas Adel maybe trying to get in on the action. We'll see how this develops, but at this point also Owen Potter has had a magnificent race, having started from last, and he's now currently on 6th position out of 13 cars. So that is very, very impressive start of the race for him. Also, likewise, it has to be said, Petteri Poskiparta has done a great job. He's now currently on 5th place behind his teammate, who's just done a bit of a mess of the last corner, but has managed to keep it together, kept his composure, and is now once again challenging Magyar Janosh for 2nd place. Meantime, Lorenzo Turi is getting a little bit of distance between himself and Janosh. The last lap is a 1:13.9. Apologies, 1:13.4, essentially, which is pretty much almost 2 seconds faster than what Janosh has just done. His last lap wasn't his best lap. Was his best lap, 1:14.2, which is almost, as he said,
and Bayer is off in turn 1.
Bayer's off, apologies. So Saddle has just made a minor error and is now behind Aaron Curtis. As for, let me see if I can find. I can't see Martin Bayer what the mistake might have been, but he's currently in 12th position as I see here on the standings. So a bit of a scruffy start for many other racers. Unfortunately, these cars aren't the easiest to drive, which it explains no doubt some of the difficulties we've seen. Maybe cold tires, brakes that weren't exactly up to temperature, but all things considered, things are going well. So here we are again. Poskiparta is also challenging Magyar Janosh, and he's doing the overtake side by side across the start-finish straight. He just gets it before he crosses it. So now Poskiparta is currently in 4th place. So very well done by him. As Potter and Gillett are also fighting for 6th place. Joe Gillett in front of Potter right now, trying his best. He's trying their best, both of them, to try and get the upper hand. Very well driven by the pair of them. Curtis is falling behind a little bit, as has Saddle from him. A few minor errors that we saw on the previous lap, which have cost him a little bit of time. But fortunately, things are going well for these two. A little bit of a small mistake over there by Gillett cost him a little bit of time, but it doesn't look like he's going to be under threat at this point. He looks on top pretty much at this point of his car. But I'm pretty sure Owen Potter is not going to just let him go, and he will challenge once again in the main straight. If he's close enough, then he might have just enough of the slipstream to try and catch up. So let's take a look at the lap times at this point. The best lap, as has been posted thus far, is Tiri's 1:12.9, which is significantly faster than pretty much everyone else. Then we have 114.0, and which is shared at this point by both Rocha and Poskiparta. Janosh has done a 114.6, 114.3 by Joe Gillett, 114.1 by Owen Potter. Aaron Curtis has done a 13.7. It was just his bad start, which has left him a little bit further down, and pretty much everyone else is doing lap times above the 13.5, with the exception of Martin Bayer, who has done 113.3 on this lap, but a number of mistakes have mean essentially that he's currently down in 12th position. Positions at this point then, it's the leader Lorenzo Turi, second, Poskiparta is in third, Magyar Janosh is in fourth, Joe Gillett is in fifth, Owen Potter is in sixth, Curtis in seventh, Saddle in eighth, Pascal Mikola is ninth, Simeoni is 10th, as we follow Owen Potter once again trying to attack Joe Gillett for 5th place. It's very, very close between them, pretty much nothing between them when you look at the lap times, but Potter has the benefit of the slipstream as he's going and going for it in the first corner. Gillett is going to try to resist him. He's the side-by-side along the first corner, but it's too long for him to essentially hang in there, and now he's had to yield the position. No doubt he's going to attempt to get him back once again to repay the favor once they reach the once again the main straight, but there's very, very close between them. There's not even a car length in between them as they go into turn 4. And as we reach also Clubhouse Bend, very, very close between them. Also, Magyar Janosh is just ahead, and maybe a second ahead. So it's very, very, very close. Very, very interesting race we're seeing here develop in the fight for position 4, 5, and 6. Curtis is also gaining up on them, so he's going to be looking forward to joining this fight soon if this continues. Gillett goes for a wide line, hoping to get a little bit more power on the exit, but it's a little bit too overzealous and gets a little bit of a slip there. But hopefully it didn't cost him too much time, as we see Owen Potter once again in the slipstream of Janosh, and hoping to essentially do the same move on him as he did with Gillett. It seems it was much more simple this time. The move was completed before he reached the corner, and this means that Owen Potter is now at this point in P4.
Someone spun.
Miguel Rocha has spun. He was in second place, but no doubt being a little bit overzealous on the exit of the corner meant that he's lost a lot of time. And let's hope that he doesn't have all the damage.
Someone's off in turn 1. Someone is off in turn 1. That is Oboyski. I think it is.
Oboyski is out. Yeah, he's out. He must have. I'm not entirely sure what the circumstances are, but he's lost one of his wheels and he's out by the catch fencing. So that means he's definitely out of the race. A shame that he wasn't able to essentially, be able to race for longer. But such are the circumstances as they are. Janosh is now trying to fight back against Potter, and Aaron Curtis is now in front of Joe Gillett. So he's had a very terrible few laps. Joe Gillett has lost a lot of positions as Curtis pulls also the move on Janosh, and Janosh has a little bit more straight line speed. He's also in the slipstream of Owen Potter, but the inside of the corner is going to be completely empty. There's a little bit of a dive bomb there, but Potter and Janosh just about managed to hold it. Potter saw him coming and gave him all the space he needed. It was also very fortunate that was so, otherwise Janosh would have absolutely touched them and they both would have gone off. But very, very interesting this. And now Curtis is now once again on the slipstream on Janosh, trying to take him into turn 4. Is a little bit deep over there on the exit of turn 3. Got a little bit on the gravel, but everything's fine now. Here we go then now into Clubhouse Bend. Very slow corner. Very.
I can tell you what happened with Moboyski. First, there's two things. First of all, Rocha is in the pits for repairs probably, or tires. He probably blew one of his tires in that spin. And what happened with Oboyski is he probably just lost the rear end while braking for a Crowthorne corner, because there are really dark black stripes leading straight towards the wall in turn 1, the inside wall.
Yeah, no doubt either he locked the tires, he misjudged the brake pressure, so he misjudged the braking point, and at that point he was just a passenger. So either way, unfortunate for him, as Janosh is fighting back now against Owen Potter. He was in his slipstream and has taken him before the first corner, although this makes him now vulnerable to a counterattack by Potter, who has not managed to make it stick. Janosh was aggressive on the turn-in, and Potter saw it coming, and so he has had to yield the position, as they are both catching up now towards Petri Poskipart in second place. So this is beginning to get a very, very interesting race. No apologies. That's Miguel Rocha, who's now a lap down. Indeed, he is a lap down. So he went in for repairs. We shall see, based on his lap times, what if at all, compromise his race at this point is. Never mind that he's, a lap down. But if he has some damage that he wasn't able to repair, then that means that essentially he has no chance of recovery. So Curtis has now pulled a move on Potter and is now on 4th place, as Janosh has also recovered up to 3rd. This has turned out to be a very, very interesting fight between these three. 4 if it remains as it is, because Rocha is now in being lapped, but clearly in no interest on yielding towards them. And he looks to be doing very, very competitive lap times at this point. So doesn't look like it's going to... if they don't make him move over, then he might very well become a liability, because he has no interest and no desire in moving over. Curtis makes a little bit of a mistake. He's got it a little bit wrong, but he managed to clout the wall just a little bit. But hopefully that won't entail much if any damage. At least none of the parts of the car seem to have flown off. So under the circumstances, that was as best as he could have hoped for. So at this point, Janosh is comfortably now ahead of Potter, who's in 4th place. Joe Gillett is now in 5th, although falling a little bit behind the previous fighting trio that was in front, seeing as Curtis has now essentially removed himself from the equation. Lucas Adel is now in 6th position. Curtis has rejoined in 7th. Mikola is 8th. Sivagnoni is 9th. Martin Baez 10th. And Artisan Bernardino and Miguel Rocha are in 11th and 12th place. The only man left at this point of the race is Miguel Rocha, who has stopped to pit for repairs after he made a mistake, which has essentially cost him the possibility of at this point at least of a good finish in the race. Although if he can keep it in the black stuff from here on out, and if the race is long enough, then who knows what might happen. At this point, then, we're following Matthew Sivagnoni, who's hounding Pascal Mikola. The last laps between these two, it was for Mikola, it was 14.6. Sivagnoni did a 14.9, so he's losing a little bit of time in comparison. And has just the last lap for Mikola was a 15.1, and Sivagnoni just posted a 15.7, so still losing a little bit of time. As we follow once again Joe Gillett and Potter. I'm having trouble keeping up with all the things that are happening simultaneously. This race is a lot more, shall we say, exciting that the DRM race was a few months prior. What with all the cars and the speed and all the things that are going on at the same time. Gillett is mounting a comeback then against Potter. Potter might have been a little bit overzealous before. Maybe the tire temperature is no longer up to what he would have wanted to. There's also a very, very different line that they take in the last corner between Gillett and Potter. Potter tends to hug the inside of the curve a lot longer, and does it a lot more closely. Whereas Potter goes wide a little bit and then cuts back, hopefully hoping no doubt to get a better exit on the corner and into the main straight. It's been. I dare say that it's not as successful as he might hope, but it's put him in good stead, at least in being able to sort of challenge Owen Potter and keeping up with him. So you can't argue against results, I suppose. Behind Gillett is now Zadel, who's been able to claw back the distance significantly, either by the mistakes that the ones in front have been able to do, or just simply by being more consistent and faster than them. As for the last lap, Zadel's lap time was 14.8, which is a tenth faster than what Gillett managed to do, and significantly faster than what Potter managed to do, which was a 15.3, which is almost a second slower than what Zadel had been doing. So Potter looks to be in trouble. He might have overheated his tires, or maybe he's just realizing that he has to pace himself in order to make the finish. But for whatever reason, he's now the slowest of the three of them. Petri Poskiparta has just posted the last lap time, which is now a personal best. It's a 1:13.8. A very, very impressive lap time, considering that, although still not sufficient to challenge Thierry, who just did a 1:13.0. So even though they are going significant, they're getting away from everyone else, but even so, Thierry is pretty much untouchable at this point, being essentially almost 9/10 faster per lap than Petri Poskiparta, which is still a very, very, very good show at this point. Potter is I just missed it. Looking at the lap at the time when I just missed it, Potter has been overtaken by Gillett. A bit of an opportunistic move over there, no doubt compounded by Potter's troubles, and he's lost that position as Zadel has spun as well. Lucas Zadel has spun, and he has also been overtaken because of it by Aaron Curtis, and he's about to be overtaken as well by Mikola. It might have been possible that he stalled the engine in doing so. So Gillett is now our new man in P4, being followed by Owen Potter, who is of course mounting a resistance, trying to challenge him again. He's close enough to be on the slipstream on the main straight for an attack on the first corner, although it looks as if he's possibly a little bit too far behind to make it stick. He's going for it anyway. He's showing the car at the entry of the corner, but still too far away to make it happen, and so he's had to slot back right behind Owen Potter. Janosh is doing fine as well. His last lap time, although his last lap time was a 15.3 compared to the 14.2 and 14.7 of the other drivers. So that was unfortunate from his part. He seems to be a little bit overconfident. Maybe he's just fallen into conservation mode, so he's losing a little bit of time, but he doesn't seem to be doing particularly poorly. He's still in third position at this point, although being caught up by Joe Gillett and Owen Potter both. Bit of a shame what happened to Lucas Hadel. It would be interesting. We could see what happened. Although if I were to make a wager, I suppose that he just simply put a wheel on the curb and that unsettled the car. And he had been driving very, very hard trying to catch up to the other drivers in front. Sadel is now behind his teammate Sivagnoni, who is in 8th place, and right behind him is now Martin Bayer in 10th. Who's mounted an impressive recovery so far, I should say. He's had some damage and he's made some mistakes, but all things considered, he's not, shall we say, light years away from the people in front. So still a very, very, very good drive from him in that regard. Since he has managed to recover from his initial mistakes. Lorenzo Turi, then again, also first position. Petri Poskiparta is second, and Magyar Janosh, that's our top three at this point. As we follow here, Lucas Adel going around turn 1, trying to overtake his teammate Matthew Sivagnoni. Let's see if they make it difficult for each other in this race, or if they try and work together. No. Sadel simply puts his car on the outside of turn 2, and Sivagnoni lets him through. Sivagnoni is also being challenged by Bayer, but that door was firmly closed. So at this point, the intentions of Matthew Sivagnoni are fairly clear. He has left his teammate pass. Presumably, they still believe that he was the faster car, whereas Bayer, well, he will have to fight for that one. He won't. Matthew Sivagnoni will not yield, and he's not at all obliged to. Let us see, however, how long he's able to resist Bayer, who has been, for the last few laps, certainly significantly faster than him. Into the main straight now. Bayer is very, very close, although not at all following the slipstream of Matthew Sivagnoni. Let's see if he's close enough to attempt an overtake. I don't think he is. He might be able to attempt it, but it wouldn't be a wise move. And no, he decides against it. He stays behind him, and he's going to live to attack for one more lap. Meanwhile, Tedler is pulling away a little bit from these two, although not particularly quickly. Oh, Bayer made a little bit of a mistake exiting turn 2, a little bit of gravel, but nothing particularly serious, and he's managed to keep it together. So, all things considered, very well done. We shall take a look at this fight further on, although it's also very important to note that Joe Gillett has gone in front once. Owen Potter is now falling behind from Joe Gillett, who has retaken third position. He's now 2 seconds dead behind Magyar Janosh, who's 4 seconds behind Petri Poskiparta, who's now 21 seconds behind Lorenzo Turri. Pretty much night and day difference between them. Although, never mind, the gap has fallen to 15 seconds. I think Turri has made a mistake. If we could please take a look at Turri, because the gap is falling quickly between them. There we go. I'm not entirely sure what the reason was, but there was a problem here with the timing. There was...
big crash in the background here. Matthew Simeoni off in turn 2. Sorry to cut in there, but that was a big one.
Simeoni's out indeed. Could we take a look at the replay, do you reckon, to see exactly what happened? Something went wrong. Saddle is now behind Mikkola and trying to attack. Here we are. We're taking a look at the replay here. Essentially, they seem to have caught up against Mikkola, and just he got it entirely wrong. He was surprised by the early breaking point of Saddle and Mikkola, and he just got a little bit of oversteer, and he corrected it, and the car just spit and sent him spearing straight into the barrier. So pretty unfortunate for Matt. He's out of the race now. Maybe he'll try to... No, he's definitely out of the race. He has retired at this point. So this means that at this point we only have 11 cars on track. It was very unfortunate from his part, no doubt. He wasn't expecting that, but in any case, bit of a shame. A little bit unfortunate also, maybe he just wasn't expecting it. As Mikkola and Saddle are fighting for position now, Saddle trying to go around the outside. Will he be able to make it stick? They're still side by side going into turn 2. Very, very spirited, very well driven by the pair of them. And no, Mikkola decisively shuts the door there. And Saddle will have to wait for another opportunity. As also Bayer is also catching up to these two and seeing if we can also maybe throw a cat amongst the pigeons, trying to benefit at their expense. Still at this point a little bit further down. Saddle going a little bit feisty over there, going off the track, trying to look for an opening, but that one's still not happening. Mikkola for now lives to fight another day in 7th place. Also a very good drive from him. As we see Saddle and Bayer still doing the thing. Still, as far as the lead is concerned, Turri is absolutely imperious here. He's currently at this point 24. I'm not going to follow the timing at this point because it's a little bit elastic to my taste. But it says 24 seconds as for the last interval. As Bayer gets past Lucas Saddle just before the King. So very interesting. Maybe a mistake from Saddle as he went out of the last corner. But he's going to to fight back now. He's going around the outside in turn 1. Is he going to be able to make the car stick? He just about manages to. And a very, very nice move. He's now in front of Bayer. So that was a great comeback from him. He had essentially lost the position on the straight, but he managed to get it out, braking Bayer right around the outside in turn 1. Very, very well done. And now, once again, sights on Pascal Mikkola. Let's see if he manages to make it stick this time. A bit of maybe being a little bit more conservative. If you have a pace advantage, there's absolutely, and the race is so long, there's absolutely no need to be so bold in trying to make an overtake. And he's right behind him now, really, really catching up to him. Is he going to try something in the last corner? Just hanging the inside. Let's take a look at the exit. It's just as good as Mikkola, so there's pretty much nose to tail as they enter the last straight. Following the kink, the Renault definitely has the power, it's leaving them behind. As Bayer once again tries to overtake Saddle going into the main straight. Wasn't able to, unfortunately, but it's very, very close together. And Saddle tries a move around the inside. And he's just about to make it stick. Will he be able to stop the car from getting off the track? Yeah, very nice move. Very well done. And now Mikkola is Bayer's problem at this point. Unless Mikkola can fight back and not lose too much time compared to the other cars around the twisty bits of what remains of the circuit. They're very, very close together. Oh, a little bit. Going a little bit off track there. Must have cost him a little bit of time. And Bayer getting a little bit hungry now. But no, that move wasn't on. Clubhouse vent then. As we are almost into the last corner and back into the main straight, which seems to be at this point the prime spot for overtaking in the circuit. Round the S's and into the last corner. You can see Mikola just how easily he gets away under acceleration. The Renault engine seems to have so much more power in the lower rev range that it just goes away, and it's only until the end of the straight where the normally aspirate to catch up. As we end, here we are among the kink. Let's see if it's close enough to stay in the slipstream of Pascal Mikola. It doesn't seem likely at this point. He's catching up a little bit towards the end of the straight, but nowhere near close enough to make it happen. So, still, that was no doubt Zadel taking advantage of the double slipstream, essentially being able to drag pretty much everyone else while he was in Pascal Mikola's slipstream and making it count just when it mattered most. The difference between them is still fairly constant, no doubt, because, well, Zadel is faster on the corners. It's not significant enough to maintain the difference during the main straight. At this point, we have two cars that have been lapped. Anderson Bernardino has also been lapped, and by the looks of it, Miguel Rocha is all over him at this point on the fight for 11th place, although sadly both of them have been lapped already. Before them, there's Martin Bayer and Pascal Mikola, who are maybe about 10 seconds in front of that particular other fight. As we see Bayer doing a second attempt again on the main straight of Pascal Mikola. He's always been very good at the exit of the king, so let's see if he has it in him this time to make a proper defense. Mikola covering the inside, trying to break the slipstream and prevent him from doing an attack. He has more power on his own, so if it's out of the slipstream, it's not as likely that Bayer will be able to fight properly. And no, that's a very good defense, successfully defended by Pascal Mikola. Hugged the inside of the curb, had made him go the long way around. No way through for him. Next attempt then. Meanwhile, here we see okay, never mind. Here we have Anderson Bernardino and Miguel Rocha fighting for position. Never mind, Rocha has just managed to overtake him. A very interesting move, very bold on the outside of the last corner, fighting the car all the way through. No, never mind. Rocha was fighting out the car a little bit too hard, and he's just spun off again and has lost the wheel. That's the day done for him. It was a very interesting move. He was no doubt hoping to avoid being lapped by the other cars, but unfortunately a little bit too feisty there, and it was just too much to handle, too much to ask of the car at that point. He's trying to make it back. I don't think he's realized that he's lost the wheel at this point, but he's going to have to retire sooner rather than later, unfortunately. As Bayer has now done once again, I think he's realized that he cannot fight the Renault if it's outside of the slipstream, so he might have to try and do a dive bomb later, because the moment he exits the slipstream, he just doesn't have the power anymore to keep up, and the Renault immediately goes away. Still, very interesting tactics here going on and for attack and defense. Very well held together by Pascal Mikola at this point. Shame about Miguel Rocha. He looked like he might have been able to trouble the leaders had things gone slightly differently. But I suppose a little bit too much steel meant that at this point he's out of the race. A bit of a shame considering where he had qualified, and he absolutely had the pace to challenge at the very least for second place, which is safely in the hands of Petri Poskiparta. 21 seconds behind the leader, but 7 seconds in front of now third place. I missed this one too. Joe Gillett is now in third, having overtaken Magyar Janosh to fourth place, as Bayer also does the move into the last corner. Let's see if he'll be able to defend it properly throughout this main straight. I have my doubts. The Renault is significantly faster on the straight, and so even the whiff of the slipstream will mean that he'll be ahead. Pascal Mikola will be ahead way in front for the first corner. He said, look at this, it's just overtaken him. No trouble at all. Into the start-finish straight, and well ahead by the time they reach the first corner. No contest there. And that was unfortunately time for Bayer, I suppose. Not much of a way of a defense he would have had there. So at this point, it's Anderson Bernardino, the last car currently in 10th place. Miguel Rocha has retired now, seen the writing on the wall, no doubt, together with the rest of his car, presumably. Lorenzo Turri is in first position. Petri Poskiparta is in second. Joe Gillett is in third. Janosh is in fourth. Curtis in fifth. Potter is in 6th, Zadel is in 7th, Mikkola is in 8th, Bayer is in 9th, Bernardino is in 10th place out of the 10th out of the 16 original entrants that we had for this race. We've had a little bit of some fair amount of attrition as we're currently in lap 26 out of 78. I think it's, I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's, we're getting a little bit tired, so let's have a quick break and we'll be here shortly.
When it comes to bagging garbage, there's a best way
Hefty,
and a second best way. A best way to close, a best way to lift, a best way to carry away.
Hefty,
Why settle for second best?
Mr. Bobby McFerrin. Ah, for Ocean Spray.
So tangy. So crisp.
Taste refreshing Ocean Spray Cran Raspberry. It's music to your mouth.
Ah.
Oh, grapefruit juice?
No, Ocean Spray Pink Grapefruit Juice Cocktail. It's not what you think. It's not bitter.
Ah, sweeter.
It's all yours.
Ocean Spray Pink.
What's a meal I hate to miss? Kibbles and bits and bits and bits. Variety I can't resist. Kibbles and bits and bits and bits. Crunchy, chewy, I insist. Kibbles and bits and bits and bits. My dog food goes like this. Kibbles and bits and bits and bits. Crunchy, chewy, all in. Chow down.
And try Kibbles and Bits and Gravy Bits. And Puppy Kibbles and Bits, too.
Are the funniest shows on ABC this fall? Coming this fall.
Bo knows baseball.
Bo knows football. Bo knows basketball, too. Bo knows tennis?
Bo knows running.
No.
Oh, no, cycling.
Oh no, wait.
Bo, you don't know diddly.
Hello and welcome back. Here we're looking at the replay of a move that with which Bayer has gotten ahead of Mikkola. He just stayed as long as possible in the slipstream and then just dive bombed him into turn 1. A very, very nice move. Very efficiently done. No drama from either of them. So yeah, very nicely done. Although, is this live? If this is live now, then I see Mikkola trying to find. Oh no, sorry. He was just letting Turi lap him at this point. So he was just trying to get out of the way and maybe try and use him a little bit in the slipstream to gain some time on the cars in front. That's Turi passed then, which means that Pascal is now the second car to be lapped, and as Anderson Bernardino has now been lapped twice. Quite unfortunate that. At this point then, before Mikkola, in front of Mikkola, that's Bayer, also Lucas Zadel, who's not been able to make much of an inroad on the gap between himself and Aaron Curtis, who is in 6th place. Owen Potter's in 5th, Magyar Janosh is in 4th, Joe Gillett is in 3rd, Petri Poskipartas in 2nd, and Lorenzo Turi, the impervious leader at this point, comfortably ahead, in front, and on top of his car, and of the current race situation as it stands at this point. Interestingly enough, though, the lap times between Turi and Poskiparta have sort of stabilized. The gap has remained pretty much constant for the last 10 or so laps at 28 seconds. There's pretty much nothing between them when you look at the lap times. Both of them did a 14.5, which is slightly slower than the car that's just behind them, which is Joe Gillett. But the difference isn't significant enough to suggest that there's going to be a change in the situation anytime soon. Gillett is about 5 seconds behind Boschi-Barta in second.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you. I can just see Aaron Curtis, and he is missing a significant part of his car, that being the rear wing.
Let's take a look at Curtis, shall we? Yes, it looks like he's made a mistake of some sort. And
he's in the pits now.
Pitting for repairs, no doubt. He was being... I wouldn't say he was being hounded by Zadel. He probably just made a mistake on his own. Yeah, he... it looks like he oh, no. He just misjudged the corner into... his braking into turn 1. He just went a little bit off. A little bit wide, and at that point he was just a passenger, so he clouded the barrier and lost the rear wing. And between probably the damage to his rear suspension and the rear wing, that's going to be a very, very costly, very lengthy repair. So I dare say that he's no longer a factor in this race at this point. Which means that now Lucas Adel has moved up into 6th, Martin Bayer has moved up into 7th, and Pascal Mikula has moved up into 8th position. Bayer also being lapped at this point, and Zadel's not too long until that happens as well. Zadel being about 20 seconds behind 5th place Owen Potter, who's not been able to challenge the 2 cars in front. And the gaps between them have stabilized each by about 5 seconds for every one of them, except for Joe Gillett, who is about 7 seconds behind Petri Boschi-Barta in 2nd place, who is now 30 seconds behind Lorenzo Turri, who has done the last lap time was a 13.1, so once again significantly faster than Boschi-Barta, who did a 14 dead in the last lap, compared also interestingly enough by a 13.8 from Joe Gillett. So looks like this might not have been 2nd place, may not necessarily be a foregone conclusion, unlike, shall we say, 1st place. Lorenzo Turri started 12th and absolutely no trouble at all. Was in the lead by lap 3, and here he is with a commanding lead as we are currently in lap 32 out of 78. Nothing else to say about Turri then. He is in command, comfortably in front, pretty much unchallenged as far as space is concerned, as he is now coming up to lap Lucas Adel, who we will see how difficult he makes his life in regards to, getting lapped. Trying to delay him won't change much, however. He's so in front of Petri Boschi-Barta that I reckon it won't make much of a difference otherwise as to the race situation, unless they somehow tangle, in which case shame upon Zadel for doing that. Great television it might be, but it's not good racing, and that's not what we want to see. As for the rest, positions remain unchanged at this point. Pascal Mikula is still in 8th position and significant distance both behind and in front of the other drivers around him. Aaron Curtis is now down in 10th place. He's lost a significant amount of time, much more than I would have expected. He's now 2 laps down and about 51 seconds behind Anderson Bernardino, so a really, really significant gap between them. Very sad way for Aaron Curtis's day to end. He was giving a lot of spirit, a lot of fights here and there, but it was unfortunate the way it happened. Sort of also like Miguel Rocha, cars that were very, very quick and had the potential to fight at the top end, but things and circumstance didn't go the way. Zadel has moved over now and gotten out of the way of Lorenzo Turri. So Turri is now comfortably ahead. Owen Potter is ahead of Zadel, so he'll be getting laps well. The gap between Zadel and Potter at the line last time was 2.2 seconds, so it looks like Potter might have a bit of a fight at this point. He's not been able, for some reason, he's not been able to nurse his tires as well as the rest, or maybe he was just a little bit too feisty earlier on, trying to defend his position, and now he's just paying the price for that exuberance and falling back. Will be interesting to see if Zadel is able to keep up with him then and maybe try and make an overtake. He was a part of that fight earlier on, but unfortunately a mistake his mate means that he's now had to essentially fight his way back. Good of him now that he's catching up to Potter. We'll see if he has enough to catch to the cars in front. That being, of course, Janosh and Gillett. Asturi is catching up now to Potter and putting a lap on him. Let's see if Potter yields this time. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He's not fighting him. He overtakes him on the main straight. And yeah, okay. Hang on. I see Anderson Bernardino is up into 8th. It might be a timing error. I'm not entirely sure. It says here Pascal Nicolas in 9th. I'll have to check on that later.
It's not an error. The Renault team is changing tires for the last 2 laps.
Oh, okay. And was there any particular reason for this change? Was it some damage, or was it just like the car is unable to handle the tires properly?
Well, I'll be completely 100% honest with you. My front tires were kind of down, and also my butt was hurting, so I needed to stand up.
That's fair enough.
But yeah, if, a couple new tires, they never hurt anyone. So I hope I can now get past Bernardino, and maybe if there's more stops, even get up into the top 8 or top 7.
A comfortable driver is a faster driver, so no argument there from my end. Very well, so this means that Mikkel is now 9th behind Bernardino and in front of Aaron Curtis, about 19 seconds in front of him by the last reckoning, and about 13 seconds behind Bernardino. So let's see if he can overtake the Ferrari on the track on merit before the race is over.
Aaron Curtis actually also, sorry about that. Aaron Curtis actually did the fastest lap. I don't know if you mentioned that. 1:12.5. He actually did a lap that was faster than Turi.
That's I'd say surprising, but it's probably the benefit of fresher fuel load. Although quite surprising considering the crash that is made. It means that all is not lost for him. Although one wonders then if that sort of pace will be of benefit later on. If the tires lose their edge at this point, then perhaps it might not necessarily be the best idea. But I suppose we have enough time to see if he'll be able to make up the ground that he's lost. So Gillett has made up also a new personal best, as has Pascal Mikler as well. Joe Gillett just did a 13.7, which is significantly faster, almost a second faster than what Petri Poskiparta just did, who was being a little bit scruffy when we last saw him on screen. And Mikler has also just done 14.2, which is also significantly faster than anything he's ever done. So benefits of fresh tires, no doubt. As Curtis has just done a 1:12.57, which is just slower than the lap that he did last, which is a 12.56, which means he's also giving it absolutely his all. And by that same token, Turi has decided that he doesn't want to yield the fastest lap so easily. He's just done a 12.8, which is the fastest lap that he's done in a significant amount of time. Now,
there was a yellow. Sorry, I'm really sorry. I'm constantly cutting. There was a yellow flag in the first corner for Luca Zadel. He spun in turn 1.
Oh, Luca Zadel once again doing a mistake, sadly. That means that he might have lost some more time to the guy in front. Yeah, he's now behind Martin Bayer. So Bayer doing a very quiet but a very interesting race. He made a mistake in the first few laps, but then since then he's kept his head down and has gradually been making ground. He's now only 2 seconds behind Owen Potter, which is essentially where Luca Zadel was a few years back. So yeah, kudos to him. Very, very nicely driven. And we shall see how this pans out. Joe Gillett then still now 3rd position. Never mind. We now have a new fast lap. Also, Lorenzo Turi definitely not willing to yield on the lap record so easily. He's now done a stunning 12.3, which is significantly faster. That's 2/10. Just over 2/10 faster than the last fastest lap that was done by Aaron Curtis, which, unlike Curtis, has been done with old tires. Even if with the lighter fuel load, has been done with all tires. So clearly, tire management not a problem for Turi. Poskiparta has been doing 14 lows for the past several laps, which is just ever so slightly slower than Joe Gillett, although the consistency seems to be in his favor. Joe Gillett is about 5 seconds behind. Magyar Janosh has fallen back to 11 seconds behind Gillett, although his last lap time is also his personal best, 13.9. So there's also clearly some more pace back in that Brabham. Owen Potter is in 5th. He's falling a long ways behind. Now 32 seconds behind Janosh. He's currently in 5th position. And we're looking him right there with the Carta Blanca Lotus. He's being hounded at this point once again by Martin Beyer, and right behind him is Aaron Curtis, who's just overtaken Beyer. He's just gained a lap on them. Very bold from him. Let's see if this move pays off. Never mind, he's just essentially yielded and let him through. So Curtis has just let them both pass, and now Beyer is now going to, no doubt, trying to attempt to catch up to Owen Potter in front. Lucas Edel is also trying to make up for his second error in the race and catching up also to Beyer and Potter. He's lost the position with that mistake that he made, so that's not exactly optimal for him.
And Joe Gillett is now in the pits. He must have had some issue.
I don't see anything untoward with Joe Gillett, except maybe a slow. It's probably a scheduled stop. He probably wasn't able to nurse his tires as well as the drivers in front, so he's now maybe going for broke and seeing if maybe a new set of tires will be able to bring him pace to challenge in front. It's going to be quite difficult because, as you said, stops have definitely proven themselves to be quite slow. Gillett has now moved down to 6th position in lap 40 out of 7. Oh, never mind. Curtis is off again. He has, and he's definitely out of the race now. He's lost a wheel. He was definitely pushing, trying to make up for some lost ground, but that was fortunate from him. It's not the first time that he's gone off at the first corner. Only this time he's gone off for the last time, sadly. He's definitely out of the race. No way around that one. And that makes him, no doubt, the 7th retirement of the race, which means that we currently have 9 cars on track and currently running out of the original 16 entrants. A lot of attrition here. Beyer and Potter are now definitely fighting mano a mano. Beyer is quite within a second of Potter as they enter the main straight, exiting the last corner. Trying, no doubt, to gain some ground on him. Let's see if he has it. He's always shown himself to be quite capable on the slipstream. He's staying as close as he can and just jumped out at the last second on the outside, heading into the first corner. Potter is one that's not one to yield and make life easier for anyone. He's hugging the inside of the curb, and they're still side by side going to turn 2. But at this point, it's a foregone conclusion. Potter defends. Beyer has a slightly better exit going into the outside of turn 3. Let's see if he no, there was no room there, and he knew it. He has wisely decided to give up the chase and attempt later on with hopefully better luck, more chance of success. All the while, Saddle has been gaining up ground on them, and let's see if he'll be able to, at long last, catch up to Potter again and regain the position, which in his mind, probably, no doubt, thinks ought to be his. Into the last corner then, and the main straight here we have Potter, and right behind him Beyer, and following him Saddle. Very, very close this race. Currently the fight for 4th position, seeing as Joe Gillett has pitted for new fresher rubber. Speaking of Gillett, let's take a look at his last lap times and see if the gamble has paid off. Gillett is doing very, very competitive lap times. Obviously, he's just exited the pit lane, so the first sector, that's essentially a non-factor at this point. But we're going to give him about 1 to 2 laps to get the rubber up into temperature, and we'll see at this point if the gamble has paid off. Although personally, I'm a bit skeptical, seeing as it didn't for Aaron Curtis, who was fighting at the pointy end, and after a mistake and all the times lost in the pit lane, he was essentially dropped out of contention. Let's see if that's also the case for Gillett. As Pascal Michellet does also a personal best of 13.9. Would you look at that? Where was this pace, 15 laps ago? I would ask if I weren't curious and I didn't know that it's just, a lighter fuel load and fresher tires than everyone else. And maybe going for broke and a higher boost pressure. I don't know. Meanwhile, Bayer has not been able to gain up the ground that he's lost from the last failed attempt on Owen Potter's position. Saddle's gap is also remaining fairly constant. Potter clearly is fighting back at this point. He doesn't want to allow him to gain any more distance on him. Sadly, the slipstream is always a little bit complicated to manage at this point. So no matter what he does, he's still losing a little bit on the main straight. The difference at this point, which I can't see on screen right now because they've both been lapped, but if I take a look at the telemetry, it tells me that the difference between them is now impossibly 0.3 seconds, which we can see visually that is not the case. But it definitely is between about, I reckon it's at most 8/10. It mustn't be anything greater than that. And Saddle's also making some inroads on that fight. I'm pretty sure he'll be, after the race, very disappointed that if he were to get in front of these two, that it took him this long and it cost him so much and got him essentially out of the contention of the positions in front. Bayer having a very, very good out of the last corner. Let's see if he's able to fight it out with Potter this time out. Definitely close enough to be in the slipstream. Will he have the patience to stay in it until the last second? He's going for it by the main straight, and I think he's in front at this point. Yes, he has. Will Potter be able to fight it out into the first corner? Now he's decided to yield. The other car was way out in front, and although he's fighting it out on the exit of the first corner, not quite there though. The line was better and cleaner, but the other car just had the position, so nowhere to go on that regard. And that means that Bayer is now in front of Potter and is taking 4th place. So indeed, a very, very good recovery drive from him, who said that mistakes on the first lap meant that the race was over right then and there. Very, very well managed and very well driven by him. Saddle's also coming up to him. Potter all over the back on bend of Bayer, and Saddle is now right up with the pair of them. So let's see if Saddle's also able to make something out of this. Potter's clearly lost a lot of time trying to defend and trying to stay in front of Bayer. It's not managed to work out. Ooh, a little bit of a drift there by Bayer on the exit of the last corner, and it's made him a little bit more vulnerable at this point. Let's see if also Saddle's able to gain anything out of this. Out of the kink and into the main straight. Bayer maybe 2 or 3 car lengths in front of Potter, trying to weave a little bit, trying to break the slipstream. Saddle going all the way around the outside. Potter follows. It's covering. It's side by side between Bayer and Potter in the first corner. They're still following him towards the exit, but I think Bayer is going to have it covered. It leaves him just about enough space as they go into the second turn, and Potter does it. He's managed to make it to overtake him around the outside into turn 2. Bayer's fighting now into turn 3. That's a mistake he made before, and he's done it again. He's falling behind now, and Saddle's now probably going to fight him out and take the position as they go into turn 4. Hugging the curb over there meant Saddle had nowhere to go, but that means that Potter once again is in 4th position as Anderson Bernardino moves aside and waits for them to get past. Well done by him. Minimum interference in that front, although that means once again Potter is now significantly in front of Bayer. It took him a long time to gain back the distance, which means that it's fighting time now again from him, and now he's vulnerable to Saddle behind. Let's see what makes it happen. The right nose to tell as they exit the last corner, and as we go into the kink, no more than 2 car lengths of a distance between them. Definitely Saddle is in his slipstream. Bayer doesn't try breaking it off. He's thinking he might be able to take advantage of it, as Saddle also takes advantage of Potter's slipstream. He was a little bit hungry there, side by side with Potter. He was trying to make 2 overtakes in one move, in one corner, and it didn't pan out this time, but Saddle's now also in front of Bayer. Very, very good driving from Saddle in this front. No mistakes at this point, so clearly being able to recover well. And Potter now once again in 4th position, but having to defend again from a faster car. as the Lotus no doubt is compared to the Wolf. Very tidy from Zadel there at Clubhouse Bend. And as we go into the S, there's a little bit of dirt being kicked up by Owen Potter there, no doubt, being a little bit aggressive, being a little bit determined not to lose a position. And Bayer is also closing up on Zadel, also being very, very hungry, very, very feisty, trying maybe to put one back up on to pay back the favor on the Slovene. Let's see how it goes. As we also exit the kink, which has also been typically one of Bayer's strongest corners. Right behind him, he's trying to fight back. Potter was weaving a little bit also, Zadel weaving a little bit, trying to break the slipstream. No such luck this time. Not close enough, any of them, so no change so far at this point. Let's take a look at how the rest of the situation is unfolding. Poskiparta is now 51 seconds behind the leader, Lorenzo Turri, and is now 9 seconds in front of third place man, who is Janosh. Fourth place is Potter, who has been lapped, and at this point, let me take a look at the telemetry. The difference, the gap between Janosh and Owen Potter in third and fourth place respectively. Zadel very, very hungry out of Clubhouse Bend, and that's Zadel wasn't surprised by his poor exit, and they just bumped into each other. Got a little bit on the gravel, but no drama over there, although that's lost them both time, which means that Potter is now significantly in front of them once again. The gap between Janosh and Potter is now 40 seconds, so it just keeps growing and growing. Quite unfortunate. Unless something untoward happens, I reckon that's pretty much the podium decided. I don't see how I might be able to challenge for it. As Zadel goes for the move over there, and did I just see something? I just think I saw a Renault stopped on the main straight. I'm not entirely sure if that was the case. It is the case. That's Pascal Mikula going slowly and almost being collected by the Fighting Three as they went across. Could you tell us what's gone wrong, Pascal?
Well, you know how they always talk about the thing called the yellow teapot?
Just let go. Did it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it didn't want to go no more. So I kind of get what I mean now.
Yeah.
So that thing is done.
So reliability not Renault's strongest suit. Clearly handling also wasn't one of Renault's strongest suit. Kind of remarkable that they managed to pull it together as well as they did later, even if they still managed to throw away every championship they tried and fight for. Any suggestions for anyone who might want to try the Renault in the future? Besides, don't, presumably.
Don't, but with an exclamation mark.
Absolutely, stay away from it. At this point, we tip our hat to Jean-Pierre Jabouille for having to stick to the thing for 3 or 4 years until it came good. Well done to him. Applause from our end. So with Mikula out, it means that at this point we only have half of the entrants running, and the last car is at this point under San Bernardino, with the Renault being the only mechanical non-enforced error, mechanical error induced in the race. Apparently everybody else is out thanks to crashing out. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. These cars are not forgiving. So
it was very fortunate as well that I didn't get. Well, what happened with me was I was shifting up into fifth gear on the straight through the kink, and I missed the gear. And it just revved the ever-living hell out of the thing. It just blew up, I locked up on the rear, and then I spun around. I was very close to being in the middle of that fight between Zadel and Potter and Bayer, and whoever else is in that fight. That would have been a bit of a, I don't know, a bit of a big one moment if they had actually collected me there. So I'm really glad they didn't.
Oh, also, I also have to notice, because I just saw Petri Poskiparta has gone into the pits. He's currently on the pits. He was in second position, and he's now 2 laps down by the counter, which means that he must have had an accident of some sort, and also means that Janosh is in second place. Also, Saddle, I wasn't, just as I was looking and discussing everything with you, Saddle has gone past Owen Potter. I'm not entirely sure if that was a mistake from Potter, I didn't see, or it was just a genius move from Saddle, but for whatever reason, he's now in front and pulling away quite quickly, which means that now Saddle is in third place, Owen Potter is in fourth, and Bayer is in fifth. Gillett now in sixth position, and Poskiparta is still in the pit lane and fallen back 3 laps now. Unfortunate from him, he was having an imperious race. Had Lorenzo Turri not been there, he would have been leading by a significant margin, but unfortunate for whatever reason, he has had some problems and he's now exited the pit lane 3 laps down.
Yeah, I think Poskiparta just went for a tire stop. Really, he didn't look like he had any trouble. And
it's
he went
possible,
in...
but then he lost 3 laps on the stop. That doesn't seem like. Tyrrell wasn't the best of teams,
yeah,
but
maybe his crew wasn't ready. Maybe his crew just wasn't ready. I don't know. He went in with quite a bit of steam as well behind me there in the pits, so his engine at least was still running good.
So either the pit crew wasn't ready, or for whatever reason. But yeah, I'm looking at the first the first sector, and clearly the last lap wasn't good. It was a 16.2, which means that his tires were definitely shot, if that was the problem. But still, 3:16, 3 minutes 16 on the first sector is a stop that's at least a minute longer than pretty much everyone else's. So whatever it was that he went to do, it was long and it was serious, and that's also dropped him right out of contention. He's now 30 seconds behind Joe Gillett.
Let's have a quick look at the leader, because there's something happening that's you don't really see every day. That is actually Lorenzo Turri. We're barely halfway through. We're, I think, on lap 50 or something.
52 out of 78, yes. So we're about 2/3 of the way.
Yeah, and he's now about to lap Magyar Janosh
in second place. So
he's
really
in arrows.
Well, to be fair,
I mean, unbelievable.
To be fair, the Brabham is like not that much better compared to the arrows.
It took pole position in 1978 at the Kyalami. It was a competitive car for 1 lap.
It was a competitive car, but it was also driven by, it wasn't driven by Rolf Stommelin and Riccardo Patrese. It was Lauda and John Watson. So
yes, true.
Just to keep things in perspective. Anyway, that's it. That's Turri overtaking and lapping Marcus Janosh at Magyar Janosh in lap 53 out of 78. So
he's now a lap ahead of the whole field.
So he could stop for tires now just to rub it in. Although that doesn't strike me as the way he do things. So unfortunately now, Petri Poskiparta is now in seventh place and definitely out of contention. Unfortunately and sadly, for he was doing also a very, very good race. Unfortunate that whatever it was that happened suddenly, and it was pretty much fatally as far as delays go. Martin Bayer has now made his best lap, which is a 13.957, which is almost 2 seconds slower than the best lap as done by Lorenzo Turri, but even so, good pace from him, and no doubt trying to get past Owen Potter. Which is a fight that we haven't seen for a while, and it's still as close as ever. Never mind, as Bayer has now got in front of Owen Potter, as I look at it, and the gap is now 0.6. So
he's in 4th place in a shadow, a car that didn't even qualify in 1978. That's also, I think that is just as remarkable a performance from Bayer than whatever Turri is doing in front.
It's a very good drive with a very uncompetitive car, and he's managed to keep it together. Besides the minor errors that he made at the beginning of the race, and he's been fighting it out with pretty much everyone as he's done so. Most of it has been attrition has played a part, no doubt, but he's also had to fight it out his own. He had to fight Jude for position. He's had to fight Saddle for position, although he's lost that one. He's fought Potter for position. Very, very good drive from his end. He's fought Curtis for position, although he's out of the race.
Here comes Owen. Oh, look. Oh, that was what?
A very Owen Potter with his brave dive bombs, a more iconic duo. A very well done move, very nicely executed. It came out of nowhere. I don't think Bayer was expecting it. So, yes, very well done.
But Owen actually, I think he used the strength of his car to its fullest there with the ground effect. You know, with the Venturi tunnels and all of that stuff, I explained the technical detail basically yesterday during qualifying. He basically has about double the downforce. If you really think about it, double the down or 1.5 times the downforce of that Shadow. If you really think about it, at full speed, basically, also going into that corner. So it was lucky from Owen to not overshoot the corner, but I'm not surprised he made it.
It's a lot of. It was a very bold move, very brave, but all the same, very well executed by him. And so, kudos to him for pulling it off. Let's see if Bayer is able to reply with a retort of his own. It doesn't look like he'll be able to this time around. He's too far behind, although
Bayer is also known for pulling off moves at the... Oh no, Owen is defending very well. Bayer is on the outside. I wouldn't be there if I were him, but nope, unfortunately that one didn't work.
We've seen a surprising amount of moves being performed around the outside of the first corner they've been able to pull off, but I think he was just too far behind coming in to being able to stick it out throughout. So, still, kudos for trying. Well done, very well done. And let's see how this develops. There's still time for more, and no doubt they both are hungry to give us more. So, let's wait and see. A little bit feisty on the exit there.
He's fighting some connection issues, I think. So, but he's still he's controlling the car very well.
Yeah, not much in the way of exuberance from him, besides occasionally touching a curb here and there. So, yeah, very nicely done from him.
I would be heartbroken if he lost connection during the race now and he lost that fifth place, because if he can get back up to Owen and possibly even pick up the pace a bit, if that's possible for him. Get to Zadel, he's potentially on for a fight for a podium. In the Shadow.
The gap between Potter and Zadel at this point is 6 seconds. So if he were actually being held up by that's probably a connection issue, no doubt. Yeah, there it is. So if he were actually being held up by Owen Potter at this point, then it is indeed possible that he might be able to make up the gap to Zadel. Zadel also has to be said, the most reliable of drivers today, unfortunately. He's made his life a lot harder than it's had to be by a few unforced errors. But still, it's 37 seconds between him and Magyar Janosh, so it's not entirely out of the question that would have been the case, as Bayer is now right up to Owen Potter as we go into the S's. And approaching now the last corner. Let's see, depending on how good the exit of the last corner might be, if he'll be in position to attack. Owen Potter clearly being far more aggressive with the last corner, taking a lot more curb than Bayer. But this is very good
exit.
It's a very good exit, yeah. It's a very.
Here it comes.
It's going to get it done by the main straight. Yeah, there it is. Before the start-finish straight, he's in front. Let's see.
Watch for the counter-attack.
Here comes a counterattack by Potter. He was already way too far behind, and he made the dive bomb opportunity into the first corner by covering the inside. So very well thought out by Bayer on that front. And here we go, turn 2. Let's see if he manages to distance himself from Potter, because it looks as if the Lotus is better on the slipstream. Oh, there's a mistake over there, I think, unless there's some connection issue that we're not... Yeah, there was a mistake from Bayer. He went wide on turn 3, and he's lost the position again to Owen Potter. It was unfortunate, seeing as how he's had to fight for it and how well executed the move on the lap previous was. But still, if that was a mistake, then he's probably kicking himself for it, because it's just made his life as difficult as it was a lap ago. So not the place he wanted to be, no doubt. As for the rest, let's see how we might be able to find out some more entertainment elsewhere along the grid, although I don't think there is any to be found at this stage, with Potter not comfortably, I'd say, but certainly, confidently holding on to 4th place. Zadel has not been able to make much ground towards Magyar Janosh, who is a comfortable second position, a lap behind at this point, Lorenzo Turi. As for the rest, Petri Poskiparta has not been able to gain much ground on Joe Gillett as well. The gap's still 20-something seconds at this point. And Poskiparta has been lapped thrice and Joe Gillett twice, which gives us an indication of where actually Lorenzo Turi is on the field at this point. Bernardino has been lapped 5 times and is 2 laps behind Petri Poskiparta, which is it's a well-meaning and well-spirited effort from him, but unfortunately not with the results he might have wanted otherwise, unless there's a lot more attrition to come. Marking here in the telemetry, Joe Gillett is also on a flyer. He's trying to distance himself as much as possible from Petri Poskiparta in 7th place, whereas Spire and Owen Porter still fighting it out. Pretty much nothing between them, but while that happens, Lucas Adel is just quietly but confidently moving further away in front of them. They keep losing time before the fighting that they're doing. Nothing else on that front, I'm afraid. Janosh is comfortably ahead of Sadel and very comfortably behind Thierry. And there we go. By going around the outside, is he going to be able to make it stick around this time? They're still going to be side by side at turn 2, but at this point it's a foregone conclusion because it's much longer than the first corner and it's not going to work out. There we go. Unfortunate, although maybe that might be a lesson for later on. Lap 60 out of 78, which means that we're entering roughly the last 4th of the race at this point. It's been very entertaining as far as everything but the lead goes, because that one has been a foregone conclusion pretty much since lap 3. A bit unfortunate maybe, although it'd be also very interesting if any of the leaders were to lap now for fresh tires. If we wanted to see some more excitement, it'd be very interesting to have it now.
Well, either way, with only... Yeah, we're on lap 61 actually, I think. So since we have 60 laps completed, so we're on lap 61, that means 18 laps to go. And even though this fight is very exciting between Potter and Bayer, we'll be back in, well, a few minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, after a short little break with this message from your stations. It's actually pre-recorded ads, but you know what I'm talking about.
They're 3 troubled children, and he's the trouble.
Where have you been all your life? In a closet?
John Candy is Uncle Buck from John Hughes, rated PG. Starts Wednesday at a theater near you.
You can play it by the book. Literature.
What is Brave New World?
Who is Eggerly Masters? Play it by ear.
What is Stop in the Name of Love?
Who is Weird Al Yankovic? Or make a power play.
You're the new Jeopardy champion.
But to win, you've got to play it. Jeopardy! Tonight at 7 here on Channel 7.
It's easy to see why people are switching to scrub-free bathroom cleaner. It cleans on contact.
We put the lime juice in the Skittle, we are pleased to reveal. We put the orange juice in Skittles to give them more appeal. I say Skittles, I would like to introduce, I say Skittles. Now there's real fruit juice, we put the grape juice in the Skittle and the strawberry too. And the juice of the lemon, so you have yourself a few. Real fruit juice in Skittles, bite-sized candy Skittles. Taste the rainbow of fruit flavors, woo.
Touchstone Pictures presents the oddest couple of all, Turner.
You're in my house!
And Hooch.
Back off, Hooch!
They've got different friends.
You cannot spend the night!
Different tastes.
Don't eat the car!
An occasional difference of opinion.
Are you aware of your drooling problem?
But with a little patience and understanding.
Oh, that's it! I'm getting my gun!
They're certain to become attached to one another.
He didn't even break the skin. This dog loves you, boy.
Tom Hanks, Turner and Hooch, rated PG.
Starts Friday, July 28th at a theater near you.
My mouth has a terrible time waking up in the morning. Come on. You know why? Most cereals bore it to sleep, but not Quaker Natural cereal. My mouth gets a charge of whole grains, honey, almonds, raisins, a bunch of different textures, a blast of different tastes. That's reveille, man. My mouth will never get back to sleep. Once you taste Quaker Natural, everything else is just cornflakes. And now there's softer, juicier raisins and dates. Ooh, I think my mouth is gonna kiss me.
Welcome back to Kyalami, South Africa for the 1978 South African Grand Prix, the second race in the 2022 CMH Masters Trophy. And speaking of the Masters Trophy, here's a little gem for you. Next month, the third round of the Masters Trophy, the 2003 Indy Japan 300. You'll notice it's an IndyCar race, and we at CMH have thought we can make something of that. That is the first of the 3 races in this year's CMH Triple Crown. So if you can win all 3 of our oval races this year, you'll win a shiny trophy and some other goodies. If you can't win all 3 of them, you can still win all of these prizes if you manage to finish the best average position. The first race, May 8th, the Indy Japan 300 from Twin Ring, Motegi in Japan. Now back to your regular program with Javi Gonzalez.
Thank you, Pascal. Just looking over here, it looks like we've had 2 best personal laps from 2 interesting drivers over here. Magyar Janosh has posted his best lap, which is a 13.5, significantly slower, sadly, than our current leader, Lorenzo Turi. Imperious throughout, untouchable, amazing, simply put. And also Petri Poskiparta has just done 1:12.966. He's finally broken into the 12s. It's also, with the exception currently of the best lap, which is a 1:12.3 from Turi, the fastest lap out of everyone else here. So it's very well done by him. It also means, incidentally, that he's slowly, but not so surely, although gaining a little bit on Joe Gillett. Although at this point, and given the amount of laps remaining, I'm pretty sure we can both agree, and he'd also be hard-pressed to disagree, that he's not going to be able to make up the difference to him if it's 20 seconds, and we're currently just under 20 laps to go. I don't see it happening, and I think he knows it's not happening. So unfortunate from him. We'll have to ask him later what the problem during the race was, what cost him so much time. But anyways, this means then that with the exception of the current battle that we're seeing right here between Bayer and Potter, which is as feisty as ever, they've been fighting really, really hard for at least 10 or 12 laps now. Unfortunately, there's not much else going on. Although these 2 have provided entertainment, for more than enough entertainment for the race for all of us, so we can't begrudge them that, and we're very thankful to them for it. As it is, though, Potter has done a magnificent job of holding off cars that are on paper faster than him. Lucas Adel took his sweet time getting around him, although he finally managed to do it, and he's done so decisively then. And at this point, we'll see if he'll be able to do the same with Martin Bayer. Fastest lap also, best personal lap from Lucas Adel, 1:13.1. Not as fast as Petri Poskiparta just managed, but still, that was the fastest lap out of everyone, not the leader this last time out. So still, means that he's being quite feisty and trying his best to catch up to the man in second place. That lap was significantly faster than a second. It was almost a second and a half faster than what second place Magyar Janosh just managed. We'll see if that's still quick enough to catch up to him, although presumably Magyar has also enough in reserve for a rainy day, as it were, if the occasion demands. Still, here we go then. Owen Potter in 4th place, trying his best to keep Bayer beside. Oh, he's made a mistake over there, right in Clubhouse Bend. Yeah, pass goes by. He's made a mistake in Clubhouse Bend, and that has left him wide open, completely exposed, and I just said, thank you very much, I'll have that. We'll see then if this difference is now too much for him to make up for during the main straight. If he decisively falls behind, then one starts to think that perhaps that was the end of the battle. A sad end. If that's the ending, then it would have been sad that it happened under these circumstances, but still. We couldn't ask more for Owen, who's fought hard all race long, trying to keep people behind him.
I see a lot of flaming sector times on the timing. Everyone is going faster and faster. We just had Luka Zadel doing a 1:13.133, so the second fastest lap of the race, basically behind Turi. Well, of the cars that are still running, of course. And so that basically means, even though the timing basically tells me that that gap between Bayer and Zadel goes somewhere between 10 and 13 seconds. Well, I think Zadel right now is back on the main straight. Yeah, he's on the front straight now, basically, before the kink. Potter and Bayer are now going through the S's. This is going to be interesting to follow the development of this. If Bayer is if Bayer is able to catch up to Zadel in any way, shape, or form.
Also, it looks like Turi is just now lapping. That is 6th place Joe Gillett. So
wow.
So he's being lapped for the 3rd time as well, which means that essentially puts him on the same lap once again with Petri Poskiparta should the race end now. Magyar Janosh has also lapped Poskiparta, which means that at this point, well, pretty much everyone's been lapped several times now at this point. So, positions are Turi, Janosh, Zadel, Bayer, Potter, Gillett, Poskiparta, and Bernardino. Half of the original 16 entrants are running currently. A lot of attrition in this race, sadly, although not at all. Although still very understandable, considering how difficult to drive, and of course the pressure and the conditions these people have to endure for so long. Here we are, then following Bayer. He's now definitely putting some distance between himself and Owen Potter now, and presumably he might be trying to catch up to Lucas Adel. Bayer just made also a personal best, a 13.8. Which is ever so slightly slower than Lucas Adel, though, on the last lap. So clearly, that catching up bit not working out at this point. It all depends on consistency. Let's see if he has enough to make it count. Poskiparta also ever so slightly gaining on Gillett. Sadly, way too far behind to probably make it on time before the end of the race. But
yeah, since you mentioned that, there's less than 10 laps to go.
Indeed, lap 69 out of 78, which means
exactly.
Which means unless we see a mistake from somewhere, from someone, I don't think there's going to be enough in it for people to try and make up the gaps that have cropped up. This race, Owen Potter being a little bit feisty at the exit of the last corner there, definitely trying desperately to keep up, or maybe try and catch Bayer, but sadly that was not to be. Still, good drive from himself, from Zadel, and from Bayer for being as much of a nuisance to others around them and being feisty and fighting every step of the way. Surely, despite whatever mistakes they each might have made, very well driven from all of them.
Pits, that looks to be Bernardino. Wow, I think that's his 3rd pit stop now already, or 2nd pit stop today.
Most likely, he's definitely not comfortable with. Definitely not comfortable with worn tires. So he reckons better be safe than sorry and try and get it across the line. I'm not entirely sure if 8th position gives you any points. It's still better than not finishing at all. So
exactly. I mean, and looking at this, it basically tells us that at least in 78, the new Michelin radial tires, they just didn't hold up. So since we didn't really get to see the performance of Ricardo Mendes, since he crashed out right at the start. He had a bad start. He basically clobbered a wall before he even got off the hill at the start. So he had retired after a lap. We couldn't see his performance. The Renault is compared to the other cars. It's a heavy car. It's got a turbocharged engine that is not very reliable. So after about 44 laps or 45 laps, the Renault was out of the race, and now Bernardino's car is the only car with the Michelin tires that really tells us how these tires hold up, and he tells us that in a bit of a subconscious way by simply having to pit twice for new tires during this race. Safe to say the Goodyears are still superior in these cars.
Indeed, clearly not holding up, although arguably the sample size isn't there to make a solid conclusion, but we can only go off with what we have. Here we have then Janosh, having just lapped, presumably, Petri Poskiparta. Maybe it's the other way around and he's trying to fight to get unlapped by him, but comfortably in second place. The gap between him and third place, Lucas Adel, is now 25 seconds or thereabouts, which means that he's under no pressure at all. He can take it comfortably at this point, and even losing a second lap to Adel, it wouldn't be enough to lose all these positions. As I say that, Owen Potter has just posted also a new personal best, and it's surprisingly slow compared to the others. If you consider what his position was and what he'd been doing, it's almost a 14 flat. It's 14.005, just 5 thousandths off a 14 dead. So good on him for the consistency of all this effort.
And to have a quick look at actually how far the field is spread. I mean, we had a good battle in the first half of the race. Now with 72 laps completed, Lorenzo Turi is leading Magyar Janosh by a lap and a half. Janosh is 20 seconds ahead of Zadel. So Lucas Zadel is now actually has crossed the start-finish line probably 5 seconds ago. Martin Bayer is about 20 seconds behind Lucas Zadel, and we have Owen Potter not too far behind him. Actually, can we have a quick look at the battle between Potter and Bayer, because I think that may have just closed up quite a little bit. Have a look at that. Here comes Potter. That's the very unfortunate thing with Bayer and his connection issues, because Potter's attacking him, and he has to second guess where Bayer is gonna be when he reappears. So that puts a bit of a spanner in the works of the Lotus driver. But look at who's behind. That's Turi and Joe Gillett. Joe Gillett, despite being a lap behind the two, is about to join that fight.
It's going to be interesting seeing how a car that's ostensibly been lapped once by them, what effect that might have if it's faster at all, and if he manages to catch up. So Bayer must have made a mistake. It shows here that his last lap time was on 1:18.2, which actually means that he lost 4 seconds on Potter that time around. Essentially, dooming him to once again having to defend from him. Story is now catching up and probably going to make them both yield. Let's see if Potter has the presence of mind to force the issue, as it were. No, he's out of the slipstream, so he's probably not going to be close enough. So unless Bayer makes a mistake, or Turi tangles with him as he's getting a lap back, then... gaining a lap on them, then we shall see how this develops. In any case, Poskiparta has been unable to make any headway on Joe Gillett, so that's battle decided, as it were. That one's probably not changing. So we are looking at right where the action is. Everything to play for here between Potter and Bayer. That one had been decided until Bayer made a mistake. Let's see if it's maybe a tie thing.
Oh, look at that! Potter just gets past Turi. What's happened with Turi? Does Turi... Wait, hold on. Is Turi probably slow? Let's go on board with him. He may be slow. Oh, he's just backed off, but it looked to me like he may have a puncture, but the way he's driving right now, he's really just backed off. No, hold on. He's slow. He was a bit slow out of that corner. He may be going to the pits. He may have a slow puncture. No, he's continuing on, but something is definitely wrong with that number 35 car.
it's a good thing for him that he has. As Martin Bayer just posted his personal best at 13.73.
That last lap for Turi was a 1:16.3. There's something wrong with his car. That is for sure.
By that same token, though, the last lap time of Janosh was a 1:20.4. So he's not, even though Turi is going slowly, he's not gaining. For whatever the problem is, either his tires are completely shot, or he's trying to nurse the engine towards the finish. Maybe he has been a little bit too aggressive there, and is now trying to just make it hold on. For not entirely sure what the problem might be, but he's definitely losing some time.
Poskipata is back in the pits. Also for him, he might have. That's the second time as well that the Finnish driver is in the pits. But I wanna hear the onboard of Turi. I wanna know what his engine sounds like, and maybe even look at his dashboard, because if he's just short shifting, well, he's not. No, he's still revving the ever-living Christ out of it. He may really just have his tires may really just be gone. Like if he slips them, he's backing. So I think he may have either his engine may start giving him troubles at the end of the straight, or he may actually be low on fuel, or, which is what I suspect more, he's just backing off for the hell of it. He's a lap and a half ahead of second place. He doesn't need to.
Yeah, that's also quite likely. He has the luxury of being 6 seconds a lap slow, and even then, probably not even losing the lap that he had on Magyar Janosh, who, by the way, has already the previous lap probably was a mistake somewhere that he's made. He's now lapping more closely to where he was. Still slower than Lucas Adel, but still, the difference is currently 18 seconds, we believe the telemetry, so that one's probably not going to change in all the 3 laps that remain of the race. So Poskiparta is now in the pits. It seems like he's out right now. He's still in there. So, and quite unfortunate that the race unraveled for him in the way that he did. Maybe just the Tyrrell was too hungry on the tires, so maybe the way he was driving it wasn't possible to make them last.
I think we may be on the final lap now, actually. We are on the final lap, as far as I can tell. 77 out of 78 complete. It's the final lap of the race. Most likely. I mean, I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. But knowing live racers shows you the amount of laps that are completed. So with 77 out of 78 complete, there's, well, 1 lap to go. And Turi, unless he has an engine failure right before the finish, is gonna win this Grand Prix.
Also, there's performances and then there's performances, right? And this was one of the latter. Absolutely impervious throughout. No, it was very hardly challenged after he took the lead in the 3rd lap. Clearly ahead of everyone else as far as pace goes. Even despite different circumstances, and I presume humongous efforts from the rest,
he's finishing the race. Here he is. You saw him weaving. What a performance! Sorry to cut in there again.
Yeah, no worries.
I feel like an absolute dickhead, but the race is over. There he goes, Lorenzo Turi, winning the South African Grand Prix. And what a race it is.
Let's wait then for Magyar Janosh, who's going to finish the race, although a lap down, but he'll probably also be quite happy with this result today. He kept it together, kept his cool. When he was challenged, he was aware throughout of all that's happening. So yeah, congratulations to him as well. Petri Poskiparta crosses the line now 4 laps back, and 5 laps back, and in most definite 7th position, as Lucas Adel also crosses the finish line to finish 3rd. Which means if this goes on like this, the Martin Bayer will finish 4th, no doubt, with Owen Potter 5th.
You can hear that Ford Cosworth engine screaming to the end. Here he is. The number I think number 17 or number 18 Shadow it is, crossing the line. Number 25 Rebaki Lotus crossing the line as well. 4th and 5th for Bayer and Potter. Well done. And now Joe Gillett. Yeah, he's already weaving. Why is he... Oh, be careful there, Joe. He may be out of fuel. He is now just coasting. Oh, no. There he goes. I don't know what that was. Oh, he's doing burnouts. Oh. And he runs over a Marshall. Oh, what is it? What is it with Kyalami and cars running over Marshalls? Too soon?
It must be something. Yeah, it must be something in the water. I don't know. Anyway, once we move past the marshals, I suppose that is over. That we're waiting for the last drivers to complete, I suppose. Petri Paskapata had already crossed the finish line, so he's probably heading into the pits now, as is Janosh as well, and Lucas Adel. That narrative that we had beginning, whether it was better to have a works Lotus or maybe a privateer would suffice. I think that was also, shall we say, definitely answered this time around. It's better to have the Lotus in black than the Lotus in brown. So yeah, that's that. Burak Rebaki having to settle with second best.
So well done to all the finishers, and we'll be back for the final little bits, the podium, well, not really podium ceremony, but the last few words after a short little break. Should be about a minute or 2 minutes until we're back.
From Walt Disney Pictures, Peter Pan is back.
Here we go!
Back in the adventure of a lifetime. Back to battle the notorious, uproarious Captain Hook.
Come down, boy. This is your last chance.
It's the story of the boy who never grew up in a movie you'll never forget. Only in theaters, it's Walt Disney's classic, Peter Pan, rated G.
Now playing at a theater near you. Check newspapers for showtimes.
This young man may not look like a Hollywood star, but he is. Now, on the next Entertainment Tonight, we've got the inside story about a courageous actor who's conquered overwhelming odds to make television history. His name is Christopher Burke. Born with Down syndrome, he's doing something most would say is impossible. He's starring in a primetime TV show.
I would love to be the role model.
Meet this remarkable man who's making his dreams come true.
Make your wish, make your wish.
Only on the next Entertainment Tonight.
Tonight at 7:30, right after Jeopardy, here on Channel 7.
Gorgeous blonde. I'd say I'm a smart blonde. I use preference. The color is rich with subtle shadings, and my hair has such life. Well, that's the preference difference. He thinks I'm worth it. He's right.
Performing preference from L'Oreal.
And we're back after a lovely race for the CMH Masters Trophy, the 1978 South African Grand Prix at Kyalami Circuit in South Africa. And what a shot this is, the front straight, where so many things happened, so many moves. Zadel on Bayer, Bayer on Potter, Potter on Zadel, Potter on Bayer. And we've also seen some kind of, well, I would call it tragedy, especially from my personal end with that Lotus car finally giving way. The yellow teapot strikes again, and also after the finish, Joe Gillett, this is really dark humor, I'm not gonna say it, but Joe Gillett running over a Marshall, just as Javi Gonzalez said, must be something in the water here. Anyway, your results for the 1978 South African Grand Prix are the winner, Lorenzo Turri of Italy, with a time of 1 hour and something or other. I actually can't see it at the moment. But the gap to second place was more than a lap to Magyar Janosh from Macedonia and the Brabham. Third place, completing the podium, Slovenia's Luka Zadel in the number 5 Mario Andretti Lotus. Fourth place to Martin Bayer in the number 16 Shadow, driven by Hans Stuck back then. Didn't qualify for the race in 1978. Finishes fourth here today at CMH. Fifth place, Owen Potter in the privately entered number 25 Lotus, driven by Hector Rebake. Owen signed up about 3 hours before the race, so for him to finish P5, remarkable, absolutely remarkable. P6 goes to Joe Gillett, who takes over the Masters Trophy points lead with that finish in the number 20 Jody Scheckter Wolf. P7 goes to Petteri Poskipata in the number 3 Tyrrell. P8 goes to Anderson Bernardino in the number 11 Ferrari. 9th place, yours truly, in the number 15 Renault. Crashed out, but had an engine let go after 44 laps. 10th place, and unfortunately not classified because he didn't finish the half distance mark, so he unfortunately won't get that 1 point that he so very much deserved with his pace throughout the race. Ireland's Aaron Curtis in the number 27 Williams. And now the DNFs that are, well, we're already in the middle of them, but Miguel Rocha in the number 4 Tyrrell crashed out. Matthew Sivagnoni in the number 6 Lotus crashed out. Matthew Oboisi in the number 7 McLaren crashed out. Simone Ghilardini in the number 19 Surtees crashed out. And Agatino Bivona in the number 8 McLaren crashed out. And Ricardo Mendes in the number 12 Ferrari, very unfortunately, also crashed out of the race. Now, with that done, let's have a quick look at what's coming in the future at Classic Motorsport Top. Now, at this time next week, we're going Trans Am Racing back to America. F yeah. The 1971 SCCA Trans American Sedan Championship goes back to the south of the Canadian-American border to Donnybrook. The Brainerd Raceway serves as the venue for the Brainerd 210 on April 24th. So if you enjoyed this race here at Classic Motorsport Top, this Formula 1 race, come and join us for Trans Am Racing. It won't be broadcast live, but we'll have a season review in summer for the first half of the season. But if you want to actually see those cars live, come hop into one. There are a lot of cars available on the forum. Just sign up. It's not that difficult, and they are a lot of fun to drive. Then, after that, we go Formula Ford Racing at Thruxton. It'll be Thruxton Thursday on April 28th. Live from Thruxton Circuit, Britain's fastest road course. Almost, I think. Yeah. Also with these Formula Ford cars, I mean, 100 horsepower, these things are a lot of fun. Very skittish, very tail-happy, but once you get it right, you absolutely get it right. So at Thruxton, April 28th, will be live broadcast here on CMH Sports with Ben Singleton as your commentator. And after that, we go DRM Racing. That's the one we've all been waiting for. Using our very own Grand Touring Group 5 mod, the first race of the 1977 DRM Championship, the Bergische Löwe Zolder, live from Zolder Circuit in Belgium, also being broadcast, Division 2 being commentated by yours truly, Division 1. We're still looking for a commentator, but it'll be a lot of fun. Again, join the CMH forum. The link is in the stream description to sign up for the 1977 DRM Championship, but don't forget the 1971 Trans Am and the 73 Formula Ford Series. Congratulations to Lorenzo Turi for winning the 1978 South African Grand Prix. Congratulations for the podium finishers, and very much also a congratulations sent out to Joe Gillett for taking over the 2022 CMH Masters Trophy points lead. Again, this is Pascal Mikula for himself and Javi Gonzalez saying so long from Kyalami. See you next week at Donnybrook.